How's it going, guys? Today we're talking about how to become aware of your negative subconscious programming. Let's go. If this is your first time visiting this channel, make sure you click on the subscribe button. Also click on the bell so that you'll be getting every notification every time I put up a video of new content. Join my channel because I will be posting one video every week. Make sure you tune in for those. My goal with this channel is to make you the best version of yourself by using the knowledge that I have had in my own life experience, knowledge that I've gained from people around my life, and from my own research that I have done. So without further ado, the subconscious mind. What is it? There's a biologist by the name of Bruce Lipton. He does a great job explaining what the subconscious mind is. So what he basically says is that your mind is divided into your conscious and your subconscious mind. And the way he compares those two is that he says that your conscious mind is similar to a 40-bit processor computer. Your subconscious mind is similar to a 40 million bit processor. And he says that the difference between those two is that your conscious mind is able to learn, is able to create, is able to have that aha moment where you learn something and you acquire knowledge or gain knowledge of something, or you're able to create something. That's something that your conscious mind does. But your subconscious mind, even though it's so big, it is totally habitual. The way that it works is that it learns through repetition. The way that that works is pretty much that your subconscious mind is an autopilot system that takes over when your mind wanders off, right? And the way that it works, it works on programming. These programmings, you've gained them from 0 to 7. And during that time, the reason why that's the time that you gain most of your subconscious programming is because your mind takes everything in like a sponge. So this is one of the flaws of the subconscious mind, which is that it does not distinguish what is good and what is bad. So a good example of some good programming that you'd have gained as a kid is like learning how to brush your teeth, for instance. That's a good programming that you've done over time, and now as an adult you do it as part of who you are. So that's something that registered in your mind. And a negative programming would be similar to being told that you're not worthy, being told that you're stupid, being told that you don't deserve. So now you grow up in the back of your mind. Those are the programs that are running. Today's video is to help you how to become aware of those programmings, especially the negative ones, and start to work towards replacing those programmings to make sure that you can live the life that you truly want to live, and not a life that you're trying to get away from, but by some weird mystery you keep doing the very things that take you right back to where you don't want to be. A good example for me growing up was my parents, for instance. The way that I was raised, me and my brother were the only kids for quite a period of time before my younger siblings were born. By some unfortunate circumstance of life, my parents had to give more attention to my older brother in order to help him feel more validated. And no fault of his, no fault of their own. But it happened that way. But what that did to me was that I felt that I wasn't getting the validation that I needed to help me feel self-assured, self-sufficient. I wasn't getting the love, or I wasn't being told I love you enough to make me feel self-dependent, to make me feel like I can believe in myself, that I'm enough for myself. So that created a programming that started running in the back, which ultimately made me a needy, validation-seeking, approval-seeking person when I became a teenager and when I became an adult. The first interaction that I had with that in my relationship was when I got into my first relationship, where I approached it from a perspective where I came as I was, because that's all I had known in my life. And the programmings that I was running, which was that maybe I'm not supposed to be loved. My individuality was not meant to be encouraged by my parents. Maybe I wasn't supposed to have the confidence that I need to have within myself to venture out and discover who I was. Maybe I was just, my parents' property, and what they say goes, and what they want me to do happens. And that's no fault of their own as well, because I believe it's part of the culture that they grew up in as well. The way that things are done in that culture is more like an army style type of parenting, where it's like you do what I say when I say it, and you have no say whatsoever until I tell you to. So it's an environment that pretty much puts you in a box. Now there is a benefit to that, which is that it prevents you from putting yourself in a position of risk that could be directly harmful to your well-being. So it keeps you in a mental box that prevent you from really exploring things that are outside of the box that you could be interested in genuinely, things that allow you to expand and become your authentic self and become the best version of yourself. It keeps you limited in this box of thinking, where you are only a subject to the society and the environment in which you're growing up in. And that's not their fault. That's the culture that they were brought up in by their parents and their parents before their parents and so forth. And that was just something that was passed down to me. And I've noticed it that this is something that is happening even here in America. It's that passed down of suffering, or that passed down of beliefs or cultural habits or cultural way of living that doesn't necessarily uplift the person that is being passed down to, but it becomes more of a burden than a gift to that person. That was something that I inherited from my parents, and hence I became a very attention-seeking, validation-seeking, approval and acceptance-seeking person. And when I got into my first relationship, I expected the person that I was with to automatically just love me for who I was and not question. That was not the case. And that ended up breaking my heart and hurting me so bad. I decided to create a defense mechanism, almost like a coping mechanism, to never allow something that hurtful to happen to me again. And that's when I became a very manipulative person. I developed a very manipulative personality, and I literally started learning from people that were manipulative, reading books, and I created such a safe proof technique that I felt safe. That I felt like no matter what happened, I was in control and no one could hurt me without me allowing it to be. But what I didn't realize is that by doing that, I made myself feel even worse because I couldn't be my genuine self with the people that I was in relationships with and friendships with. And that just ended up making me feel even more isolated and even more empty. And it wasn't until a few years ago when I started going through my healing journey and really being more aware of these programmings that I was able to recognize that and start working towards changing that. And today I can say that I feel more authentic in my relationships and feel happier genuinely. And I think that we all do that to a certain extent as people. We create these mechanisms that protect our vulnerabilities from anyone that would take advantage of it. And sometimes it comes from, from a trauma, which is just a result of programming that we received in our homes growing up, that we took out into the world and got backlash from it and never really faced it and just turned away from it and just try to, hide the pain and pretend like it never happened and just become something else that people could not hurt or people could not take advantage of. Just put on this armor so that no one can see the wounds that are hidden beneath. I will be sharing with you 3 steps that will help you be more aware of your negative subconscious programming. The first step is pinpointing your triggers, right? Your trigger is usually going to be preceded by you feeling the need to want to either fight a person or just get out of the room, right? And what I mean by trigger is that, for instance, if you were younger and you grew up in a home where you were verbally abused by a parent or by an authority figure that lived in your home, the way that would work is that if they started raising their voice and then abuse came right after, if that happened long enough, you would have registered in your subconscious mind as an abusive pattern, and that you should feel threatened, that you should feel worried, that you should feel afraid when these patterns start to happen. So now you grow up to become an adult, and every time someone raises the voice at you, you just feel threatened, you feel attacked, or all those triggers start to put you in that fight or flight state where you're either going to get into an argument with this person and say some stuff to hit back because you want to fight, or you're just going to cry and shut down and get out of the room. So the trigger is basically verbal pattern that reminds you of all the pain. So the way that would work is that in the present now as an adult, you in a relationship with someone, or you're just speaking with someone, you're having an altercation, and their voice tone starts to raise. What that tells your mind, your subconscious mind, that's your father, your mother, whoever that was yelling at you when you were younger, and what's coming next is abuse. So your body starts to prep itself in the present as though you are back into your past as a child, and you will start to notice that your heart rate increases, that your breath shortens, and that you start to maybe shake, or your muscles start to tense up, some tension in certain parts of your body, and you just feel a certain aggression building up, right? If you can be aware of that and you understand that, okay, in this very moment I am not threatened, right? In this very moment, the person that I'm speaking to is not the person that abused me in my childhood, is not the person that traumatized me in my childhood. My safety is not really threatened right now. I'm strong enough to take care of myself in the present, because when I was younger, I wasn't able to take care of myself. I wasn't strong enough to do so, but I'm strong enough to take care of myself now. That's the first step, just catching that moment right there. The second step is you need to take time for yourself. You have to learn, like in the same way you make time to watch movies, in the same way you make time to go on your phone, same way you make time for work, same way you make time for your family, you need to make time for yourself. So I suggest this, that at least once a day for 1 to 5 minutes, take some time where you just by yourself. And we all have a place that we go to think. For most of us, it's usually when we're sad, when something sad happens to us, or when we're feeling some sort of pain. There's a place that we like to go and say. It could be your room, it could be the top of a building, it could be a mountaintop, it could be your car. It's just a place that you go to where you feel that you can just let your thoughts run. If it's your pain, if it's your suffering, you can just be vulnerable in that moment and let it be. That's the place that I want you to go to at least once a day. If you're able to accomplish the first step, which is pinpoint your trigger, remove yourself from the environment where you feel threatened, go to that place that allows your thoughts to just be, and let those thoughts run. Let that programming run. An example of that would be that, say for instance, that you're in an argument with someone and they start to use a verbal pattern that reminds you of someone that in your childhood as an authority figure said, that made you feel unworthy, that made you feel that you do not deserve. So all of a sudden you start having the programming running, which is beating yourself up, which is telling you that, oh, you're not good enough, oh no, you don't deserve, oh no, you shouldn't be happy, oh look at you, you're ugly, you this. Like, let that run through and then observe it from afar. Don't observe it as though you're in that moment living it again. Observe it with a certain sense of mindfulness, where it's like you're sitting in a movie theater watching a movie, or you're sitting on your phone watching a video. There's something separating you between what's happening in a scene and what's really in the present. There's that screen that separates you. So watch those memories or those programmings run back from a bystander perspective, like you do when you go to a movie. What that allows you to do is it allows you to detach your present self from those emotions from the past, and you can actually watch them run and understand that, you know what, maybe you were a child, maybe you were weak at the time, maybe you just wanted to be loved and you never got that, maybe you were just being yourself and you were never accepted for it. And if you detach from the emotions of that trauma in that moment, you're able to see it from this light, you're able to see it from this perspective, where you understand that, okay, this is the programming, this is the memory, right? You let it run its course, and at the end of it, you understand that it's okay. It was true during that past time, but it's no longer true right now, because you've grown, because you're stronger now, because you're more capable of handling your own, you're capable of carrying yourself, you're capable of protecting yourself, you're capable of loving yourself, and that it was true in the past, but it's no longer a reality right now. It is simply your body that has been used to being exposed to that, and it's just reacting as though it's happening again, but it's not really happening to you right now. That's the second step of how to be aware of your negative subconscious programming. The third step is make an intentional effort to pinpoint the root of your memory or your programming. The reason why I want you to do that is because once you know what the root is, I want you to accept. For instance, here's an example. If the root is that your parents just never loved for who you were, accept that. Like, let it be as so. If your past life was like the headline of a newspaper, right? Because I want you to understand that in that moment, once you accept it, once you accept that that's what happened, it is what it is, the next thing that you can say is like, okay, that happened and it's okay. John, you never got the validation you wanted from your parents. That's the truth, and it's okay. It does not take away from who you've become today. You are still valuable. You still matter. You are capable of giving yourself the validation that you wanted your parents to give you. Once you've said it's okay, what I want you to do is I want you to tell yourself the opposite of what that programming or that memory is. If you were abused and you say, John, when you were a child, you were abused, and that's the truth, it's okay. But it was the truth of the past. The truth now is that you have grown, that you're capable, that you're stronger, that you can protect yourself, that you can defend yourself, and you are capable of it. That right there is key. Over time, what that will do for your body is that every time your body gets exposed to the patterns, remind you of the memories of your childhood, instead of having those reactions you would have in the past, it's going to start to adjust to what you're doing. Because now, you're no longer going to let those emotions run through. You're no longer going to let yourself shut down. You're no longer going to let yourself get into that fight mode, because you're going to catch the trigger before it happens, and you're going to remove yourself from the environment and let it run through from a bystander perspective, which will allow you to detach from the emotions in the moment, which calms your body in the present, and you get to run your thoughts clearly through what just happened and where it's coming from within you. And the next step is you get to reaffirm your body that is not true. So then what ends up happening is that a different chemical is released when you're reaffirming those thoughts to your body. So now your body starts to associate what has just happened with these new chemicals that are happening. And the power of your subconscious mind is that if you do that long enough and you repeat that behavior over and over and over again, you will get to a point where you'll click. And now whenever you're faced with the same patterns of your past, instead of your body getting to that fight and flight state, instead it goes to the new chemicals that you've created for yourself, which is self-acceptance, which is that you are no longer who you used to be. And all of a sudden you find yourself being at peace and being happier when you're exposed to this environment. You find yourself reacting differently to people that raise their voice. You will find yourself in the same situation where someone is maybe running the same patterns that are similar to your childhood, and you are not affected by that, and you can still remain sane-minded, you can remain calm, you can remain composed, and you can give the best authentic response and the best honest response coming from within yourself, from a sane mind, a calm mind, not a mind that is distorted by your emotions, but a sane mind that understands what the person is saying. And you can now start to deal with the issues in your life. You can start dealing with the disagreements and the frustration and the things that happen in everyday life that may be confrontational. You get to face those things in a more loving, happy, and genuine way. You can do that with a sense of fulfillment, and at the end of it, feel even better about yourself. So today we've spoken about how to be aware of your negative subconscious programming. And if you use these 3 steps that I've just shared with you, and you can potentially rewire your own brain and your own body to adjust to a new you. And ultimately, as you start applying this to different aspects of your life, you'll start feeling better about the new version of who you are in the present. If this video was helpful to you, make sure you share with a friend, a family member, someone that you know that is going through the same situation and could need this knowledge. My duty is to go and find everything that I've learned and make it accessible to you. Because why reinvent the wheel if you can just upgrade the one that you have? That's what I'm doing for you, providing you with the knowledge that you need. And this is the channel. Click on the subscribe button that I will have right here or right here, and make sure you click on that bell so you don't miss out on videos like this when they come out. And once more, I appreciate you for being here with me and sharing this journey. If you have any thoughts, make sure you leave them in the comment section of this video. Again, I appreciate you for watching this, and until next week.